Hey guys, Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. Now today we want to talk about defining a force player and what ways I think personally make it a little bit easier to define who the force player is so that you can define your run fits as opposed to maybe playing in a read force system that maybe is a little better system, or maybe a little bit more conducive to upper level, maybe college, NFL football, as opposed to what we see at our level and what's a little bit easier to teach, in my opinion. What I've got drawn up here on the board is I've got the standard, our 4-2-5 alignment up top, and then I've got a 3-4 under front on the bottom. All right, what I'm going to talk in terms of right now is just 21 personnel, and I'm going to talk in terms of playing with a 7 technique and a true force down safety, as opposed to playing with a 9 technique and an under front, and then playing force based on the block of the tight end, okay, and playing read force between the Sam linebacker and the strong safety. I was a 3-4 guy, played under front for 10 years. I absolutely love the 3-4. I think in itself the 3-4 is more difficult for offenses to handle. I think there's a lot more things that you can do out of the 3-4 that present a lot of problems for offenses, but I also think you have to be a much better football coach with a lot more time to spend on defense, and maybe you might have to have kids that don't play both ways and your Sam linebacker is just a Sam linebacker. Up top is the standard 4-2-5 alignment for me versus 21 personnel, okay? And it's better for me because the majority of my players play both ways and I have less time to spend with them on defense. So defining who the force player is and fitting it a certain way, all right, is a little bit better for me than a read force option down here, or maybe a 3-4 team that has a little bit more flexibility and presents more problems, all right, for the offense than the standard even front that might be easier to block, okay, but on a day-to-day basis, this is easier to install and teach than this is. And again, what we're talking about at the end of the day is not how much the coach knows or not how much I know, it's how much can I get these kids to know and what do they play better. And in my experience, we play sounder, better defense out of the 4-2-5 than we did out of the 3-4. Now, I still think as an offensive coach and a defensive coach, I think that this under package, okay, which is going to be one of the most standard first down run fronts you see in college and NFL, people are still going to get into the under front. And I think the 3-4, when you add in maybe some 2-gap and some movements, I think the odd front is still a more difficult package for the offense to handle, but it's only more difficult if you can get your kids to play. I'm at a school where my kids are going to play both ways. I'm going to have very limited time, especially during game weeks. I'm going to have about a day and a half to get a game plan in, all right? This, to me, is a lot simpler to teach than this is, okay? So what we're looking at, up top in the 4-2-5, I play with a 7 technique inside eye of the defensive end. A lot of people might play with a head-up 8 because they feel like it handles some blocks a little bit better and gives this kid a fighting chance. Some people, if they were a 4-3 team, might play with them in a 9 and a Sam linebacker inside. They feel like a good player off the edge is going to make more plays and they can put one of their players that they feel is a better player. Whereas with the 7, some people are going to tell you, well, he's reached by the tight end by alignment and he's got such a bad angle on down blocks that he's going to get caved down inside by the tight end. Okay, I'm going to turn around and tell you, okay, he doesn't have to be as great of a football player in the 7 technique. All he's got to do is hold the point in the C gap, okay? We don't even visual key through the tight end. We visual key through the tackle so that if you give us arc release, all right, or outside zone blocking, he stays reached anyways, as long as he doesn't get reached by the offensive tackle and he maintains leverage in helmet and shoulder pad in the C gap, okay, where his leverage belongs. As long as he maintains a C gap, he's doing his job. My plays in the 4-2-5 are going to be made by other players, okay? Now, down here in the 3-4 of the under front, this Sam linebacker is going to have to react differently to down blocks by the tight end and reach blocks by the tight end. You're going to ask him, okay, to be the force player in an outside zone reach scheme, and you're going to let the strong safety fit underneath, but yet if you got a power scheme with a down block and a fullback, he's got to close the down block and maybe wrong arm to make it spill, okay? The strong safety behind him has the easy job. He's just got to make him right however he fits it. So if he fits it wrong, okay, your strong safety just has to make him right and fit opposite of that, okay? Well, I don't really have any problems up top in the 4-2-5 with guys fitting it wrong, because I'm always going to tell the down safety to fit it outside arm and leg free, and the free safety is always going to run the alley. And now what I've got to try and do is get the free safety to understand the play of the Mike, okay? And if the Mike is running real fast over the top, then the free safety may have to play behind the Mike. If the Mike fits inside, then the free safety can fit off his outside hip. All right? So I've got to talk to the free safety a little bit in terms of how the Mike plays and where the Mike's going to fit those runs. All right? But even if the free safety didn't fit off the Mike, he knows he can just run the alley every time, because this ball should go back to him, because the down safety is only going to be taught one way to play an arc release, a power scheme. He's only going to be taught to play it one way. He's not going to have to worry about two different ways to play it. All right? So anytime he gets a down block or any block, all right, on the 7 technique, okay, he knows that he can get right away right now. If he's getting hard run action at him, he knows that he can set the edge and be a force player right now. The blocks, they declare themselves a lot simpler, because when a tight end has a 7, if he's going to run any type of pass routes, normally he's just going to bypass the 7 technique. And now you got to talk to your safety about, is he running at your inside shoulder pad or your outside shoulder pad? What is his angle of departure towards you? That's always going to be a little bit of a gray area, okay? But the one gray area I know I never have is when they want to block the 7, they put hands on the 7 right now, which declares things a lot quicker for this down safety to get up here and set the edge. All right? Now, down on the bottom, you might see a full zone reach here, all right? And now you might ask your Sam linebacker to be a contained player and force it, and now have your strong safety fit inside, okay? Maybe now, all right, you get the down inside release, all right, and it becomes a down block here, and you've got to come off this and wrong arm the next thing that shows. Or maybe you're getting the down inside release that becomes some type of vertical or drag route, and now your Sam linebacker has to see separation between the release of this and the pass set of that. And if there's any air in between the tight end and the tackle, okay, if there's air in between those two, now your Sam linebacker has to understand that maybe he's a flat player there. All right? Well, when you're in the 7 technique, all right, I think it defines itself a lot quicker, okay, for that down safety, because when they're going to block the 7, they're going to put hands on them right now. If they arc release, all right, now you have to talk about how are they attacking you. Is that safety coming to block you, or is he running a vertical route? Is he trying to get to your outside shoulder pad or your inside shoulder pad? Okay. And now with the 7, all I got to do is tell him to pressure read through the tackle, so that if the tackle blocks down, I don't care what the tight end does, I'm going to squeeze and wrong arm everything that's in there. All right, so a lot of people will tell you, well, coach, if you got to get hands on the tight end, when he arc releases, that's going to widen the 7 technique. All right, well, I don't ever tell the 7 technique to get his hands on the tight end. All right, I really don't care what the tight end does in his pass routes, because I got a free safety playing quarters behind him. You want to go vertical, you're going to get a clean release right to a free safety. I'm not trying to deny vertical entry. I'm not trying to hold up the tight end on the line of scrimmage. And most of the time, in the offenses we play, I'm not playing Tony Gonzalez or Antonio Gates here or Gronkowski. So I'm not really worried necessarily with getting hands on the tight end. If I'm the 7, the tight end's going to bring himself to me when he wants to block me. When the 7 disappears, there's a good chance it's either going to be a down block, a pass set, or an outside zone from the tackle's going to be the guy that I'm concerned with. So we line up in a 7 on the tight end, but we visual key and feel pressure from the tight end while we visual through the offensive tackle, because he's going to tell me what's going on. So my 7 technique never gets widened by an arc scheme, all right? Because a lot of people are going to say, well, coach, they're going to run the power, and what they're going to do is they're going to arc to kick out, all right, your down safety here, and then they're going to try and get your 7 to widen so they can kick him with the fullback. Well, that's really not an issue for me, because when they arc release here, I'm going to fit it outside arm and leg free. All right, when they arc and they down block on power, I'm going to scream under here to see if I can get this to bounce. And now I've got my free safety and my Mike running the alley now, so I should have a free hitter. All right, so I think to me in the 4-2-5, I think, all right, my run fits and my force and my alley of the free safety, all right, I think a lot of that is easier to declare and easier to teach to my players. Now, whether or not it's a better system versus the run game, okay, that can be argued for days, and probably that argument will get to what type of players you have. All right? If you've got great players, they're going to do it in the under, they'll do it in the 4-2-5. It's not going to matter. Okay? If you had all day to teach defensive players and they don't have to play both ways, all right, and then you want to sit down and say, what's better for us, for the offenses we play against, well, then that's the greatest of all scenarios, because now you can do your homework and say, all right, we're playing 10 teams this year, and 7 of those teams are 10 personnel, and 3 of those teams are 21 personnel. All right, well, now sit down and figure out what's best for who you play against, okay? For me, I have to figure out what's best, because not only am I worried about the opponents I'm playing, but my guys play both ways. So what can I get taught the easiest to my guys that lines up to everything I'm going to see and gives me a chance to win games? Well, I'm going to tell you, for me, it's the 4-2-5. I'm going to tell you it's a 7 technique inside the tight end with a down safety outside as a force player. Okay? I'm going to tell you that it's taking my free safety in quarters and teaching him how to only run the alley, all right, on outside runs or power plays off tackle. He's only got to run the alley because he never has to fit off the block of the down safety. Okay? Now, the 3-4 or the under front may be a better way to play it, okay? And you may be able to provide a few more problems for the offense when you add in some movements, okay? But at the same time now, I got to make sure that, let's just say I played 5 games in a row with no tight end. And now game number 6 is the biggest game of the year for me, and that team is a team that plays with a tight end. So now all of a sudden I've got to take this Sam linebacker that's been playing in space for 6 games straight, and now I got to line him up in a 9, and he has to understand how to play off of this down concept, but he also has to understand how to play against this outside zone or this reach block. Okay? And then, argument's sake, all right, this tight end starts blocking down, and this kid just starts going straight up the field. Okay? Well, now your strong safety's got to be a player and make sure he understands that if he fits this block outside, I'm going to fit it inside. Well, now I need another player on top of the Sam that makes football plays and great, all right, and makes great decisions on the field, because now if he fits it wrong, I have to fit it right. Okay? So again, to me, only having a day and a half a week to teach my kids, I would much rather put a kid in a 7, define the fit, define his job, and find a kid I feel can do that job. He doesn't have to be a big-time playmaker in that defense. He's got to be physical enough to hold the point in the C-gap. All right? He's got to be a decent enough pass rusher so that if they take the tight end out, he can give me some rush, all right, and rush the passer up the field. But he doesn't have to be a great playmaker like he maybe in a 9. He's got to be my best guy coming off the edge. All right? He doesn't have to be a weak side rush end that has to make a bunch of plays in the 3-4 like a James Harrison or maybe a Jason Taylor could be as an outside linebacker. All right? He doesn't have to be that guy, maybe a Von Miller. He doesn't have to be that cat. He's just got to be a guy that can hold a point in a 7 technique on a tight end, and I make his job real simple to do. So now if I play 6 spread teams and a 7 team happens to be a wing T or a 21 personnel team, I don't feel like I've got a lot of teaching to do with that kid in the 7 technique. Line up inside eye to tight end, all right, visual key through the tackle. Tackle blocks down, you squeeze. Tackle starts to reach, you stay outside the tackle. Don't worry about what the tight end does. You're already down blocked and reached by the tight end by alignment. So if you just don't cave in the C-gap, just by alignment, you're going to play your responsibility. Well, coach, if it's outside zone and the tight end's reaching, do I got to run with him? No, you're already reach blocked by the tight end. If it's outside zone, let the down safety set the edge and let the free safety run the alley. You stay with it with your helmet and shoulder pad and outside arm free on the offensive tackle. Okay? So I feel like the 4-2-5 for me is easier to teach with the kids I have. It's easier to teach the kids that play both ways. And it's easier to teach week in and week out, all right, because this 7 is never going to be in space. He's going to be a 5 or a 7. This Sam linebacker, if you take this 2 and remove him, all right, this Sam linebacker is going to be a walk-off apex player. So now maybe 5 days a week, all right, or 5 weeks in a row, he's an apex player, and then week number 6, he's a 9 technique. Well, if you have 5 days a week and that Sam linebacker only plays Sam, and you can make sure that you're doing drills with him every day as a 9 technique, I don't have a problem with that. It's probably maybe the better way to play it, and you see it more often in the NFL. All right? But if this kid is somebody who plays Sam linebacker and running back, or Sam linebacker and slot receiver, or Sam linebacker and tackle, whatever he may be, you don't have enough time in your week to teach him how to play apex and then teach him how to play in a 9 technique. Okay? So I don't ever have to worry about that. This 7 technique goes from being a 7 to a 5. So I don't have to worry about that.
this down safety now, if you were to tell me, well, coach, what are you going to do if they apex? All right, well, now if we saw this, my down safety would still be a guy that's playing in space depending on the coverage I'm playing, so I haven't taught him anything different. My 7 goes to a 5 here, so I haven't taught him anything different. I'm not dealing with a 7 technique that I'm asking to play in space and then versus a tight end play with a hand on the ground. All right? Now your Sam won't put a hand on the ground, but he's going to be apexed here for 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden he's going to be in a 9 tech here in a big game that you need to win. Okay? So for me, my opinion, high school football with kids that play both ways, the 4-2-5 with a 7 technique and a down safety that is always a force guy versus 21 personnel, and a free safety that can feel free to run the alley and not set the edge, I think that's an easier way to teach and define your run fits as opposed to maybe a read force system where these two guys, all right, have to fit all the runs right depending on the blocks they see. Okay, again, great thing is to each his own. Every one of us get a chance. We get a chance to choose our scheme. We all can teach whatever we want to teach. If you're good enough or you know enough about the 3-4 and even stuff, like most defensive coordinators could probably play both, go ahead, teach whatever you want. Base it on the kids you have, base it on the amount of time you have, and then base it on the offenses that you're going to see. If you're at a place, all right, maybe a place like mine where kids play both ways, well, I don't think you're as flexible with your choosing of your schemes on defense. I think you better play a defense that you feel like you can teach the simplest, easiest way to your kids, because they're only going to get a day and a half of defense as opposed to 5 days of defense. Okay? So again, it comes down to what do I feel like I can teach best? Not exactly on paper what scheme is best. What can I teach best? What can I play every week regardless of what the other team comes out in? Okay? And what can I feel like my kid in a day and a half of work can get on the football field on Friday night and be in a position to win games? For me, I'm going to say 4-2-5, 7 technique defensive end. All right? Down safety, 4s, free safety, running the alley. That's what I'm going to say. Okay? At the end of the day, to each his own. The teams that win more games, like I said, you know, one of the last videos I did, usually in football, the current trend seems to go with who's winning games. All right? The current trend in the weight room seems to go with the teams that are successful. Nobody looks at the 1-9 teams and asks them what they do in the weight room. Okay? So again, it'll all go in trends, and the teams that win, they're the hot hand right now, so everybody wants to look at, okay, who the hot hand is and what schemes they're running. But your schemes are more conducive to what you can teach and what your kids can play. Okay? You look in college football, University of Alabama could probably run any scheme on offense and defense they choose. Right now, their players seem to be as good, if not better, than everybody around. Okay? Some of the schools in the SEC and some of the major schools in the Big Ten, okay, and the ACC and the Pac-12, or they can, when you have the best players to choose from, now it comes down to what system can you teach to your kids the best. All right? It doesn't really matter whether it's pro eye or shotgun, because you're going to go recruit the players to fit that, and you're going to get the best players in the country anyways. Okay? At the high school level, it comes down to what can your kids play most effectively, because you're going to get dealt a set of cards to coach. And then your kids, depending on the situation, like at my school, they're playing both ways, so not only do I have to coach who shows up to come to me, but I have to coach them to play 2 sides of the ball in a day and a half of work during a game week. Okay? So I choose the 4-2-5. I choose 7 technique, not 8 technique or 9 technique. I choose 7 technique, outside down safety, free safety, running the alley. Okay? Whatever works best for you. Again, great game of football. The thing that's great about it is we can do whatever we want, however we want. We can sell it to other people. We can argue about it all day long. Makes it great, makes it fun. If every one of us had to coach the exact same scheme every single day as everybody else in the country, I don't think it'd be much fun. I don't think you'd see as many clinics or as many football taught. All right? I think the game, the way it is right now, is what makes it what it is. We can play whatever we want. We can talk about it all day. All right? And it's good to argue with your friends and buddies and talk ball all day and say, hey, I would do it this way. I wouldn't do it that way. I think this way is better. All right? For me, this is the way I choose. Works for me right now. It's been working for us the last 2 years. Okay? Hopefully it works for us and continues to work for us in the future. If it stops working for us and becomes an issue, then maybe I have to go back to some odd stuff or some 3-4 stuff and go to read force. Okay? Again, to each his own. What can you do the best? What can your kids learn the best? How do they play fast? How do you coach fast? All right? See you guys next time.